All right. Hi, everybody. It's Kendell Lenice, and welcome to Shine with Kendell Lenice. I'm so excited to be here today as we talk about relationships. But let me talk about this. We are in season 11 of Shine with Kendell Lenice. Season 11, y'all. Let's give a hand for that. Absolutely. 11 seasons, man. I remember when I started Shine with Kendell Lenice, and I'm just so proud of how it has grown, right? I mean, think about first season, you're trying to figure it out. This was my, I think, second podcast or third podcast at this point. I've been podcasting before the pandemic when a lot of people started podcasting. I used to have an online radio station with my former business partner, and all of this has really grown. And to see everybody expressing themselves with podcasts and giving their views and opinions and all of that, I love it. For those that don't know me, let me introduce you to me just to get you to maybe know who I am and what's going on with this podcast. It's going, podcast is going. All right, y'all. For those that don't know, so you guys know this is an audio podcast, and every now and then I'll go to YouTube or another streaming platform so you can see the visuals behind the scene. But this was a traditional audio podcast where you would hear my voice, and it's available on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, YouTube, just so many different platforms. I'm grateful and thankful. But this is season 11, so we're going to switch it up a bit. And I'm going to try to do a lot of the podcasts visually as well. And I have the behind the scenes right here on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. Hey, Facebook. All right. So this season, I'm going to have some guests, right? We're going to talk about some things as far as relationships, what people don't want to talk about, because we want to get to the healthy relationships. Now, I will say this. All relationships aren't bad. Some people are living their best lives in love in relationships. So I don't want to get it twisted where, if you had a relationship and it didn't work out, or if you had several that didn't work out, or you hear about people, or you scroll through social media, they would have you thinking that everybody in love is fake. It's not real. They're not in love. They're going through it. Yes, they're going through it. But some people know how to rebound and recover from situations that happen in relationships, and they have a healthy relationship. So we're going to get into what a healthy relationship is. We're going to get into some fun things. We're going to talk about Jennifer Hudson and Common, because they are in love in a relationship, and it just dropped today, the official announcement when Common showed up on the Jennifer Hudson talk show to promote his new book, and they had a cute cat and mouse kind of energy and vibe. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into why people want relationships, or the best part of relationships. In this season, you're going to hear some people's stories and journeys through their relationship, what they learned about themselves. And that's what I ask our listeners on Shine with Kendell Lenice. What is the biggest lesson that relationships have taught you. So we're going to be doing all of that. I can't wait to have this conversation because it's so important to be able to, let me take some of this glare out. So important to really sit down and have these conversations because I want, as a life coach and just as a human being, a woman, I want to be able to have conversations like this that spark conversations. And because there's a whole lot of foolishness out there when it comes to relationships. There's a lot of things, everybody wants to talk about relationships. So many people have these different views and ideologies about relationships. So we're going to cut right through um, about relationships from a life coach's standpoint, as well as a person who has had love, lost love, had love again, didn't have it again, experience, because I'm a woman of a certain age and I have life experience as well. I can't wait for you to meet some of my guests throughout this season. You're going to have some couples, you're going to have some singles, you're going to have people who have been through the trenches and what they've learned about love. You're going to see some quality, good love. You're going to see some, the experience, just a lot of things. But let's get into the show as always. Now, if you're just watching for the first time, we're still going to, or if you're listening for the first time, welcome to Shine with Kendell Lenice. I'm so glad that you joined us here. If you stumbled upon this podcast, I don't know how you got here. I'm just glad that you got here. And to all my loyal listeners who continuously show up for me in this space, I'm grateful and thankful. And this season is for you guys because each season I spotlight or focus on something. So most of you wanted me to focus on relationships this season. So here we are. All right. Just like any other Shine with Kendell Lenice, we're going to start with this week's life note. All right, this week's life note. Let's get a quote or a saying, something to hold on to throughout this podcast episode, through the next week or the next month. All right. If I had a flower for every time I thought of you, I could walk through the garden forever, right? You get those cheesy quotes when it comes to relationships. Here's one. Y'all remember this show from Dawson's Creek? A soulmate is someone who carries you with them forever. It's the one person who knew you and accepted you, believed in you before anyone else did, or when no one else would, right? Give you another difficult. Well, let me give a difficult relationship one. And let's see. The difficult ones are long. I'm not perfect when it comes to relationships. I mess up. I start fights. I easily get jealous. But there are 3 things I am proud of being me. I do not play. I give my best. And when I choose you, it's only you. So I gave you a trilogy of life notes for this episode. It's so funny because so many people have so many views when it comes to relationships. And so many people have so many different experiences when it comes to relationships. So we're going to get right to it. Before I even talk about what we're going to talk about today, I want to talk about Jennifer Hudson and Common, as I mentioned earlier. So it's been speculation that they have been in a romantic relationship, right? Because pictures are taken, they're seen in public, they're seen in, the paparazzi is getting a hold of them. And everyone is like, are they in a relationship? Common is for the streets. And we're going to talk about that too. Common is for the streets, or I hope he doesn't break her heart, or they look great together, or look at them, they're beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Say people have been saying different things up until today. Some are still saying those things, but some have changed their minds and their opinions. But let me start with this. Common is from the streets. Common is dating. He is not a married man, just like anybody dating. He's dating people that we know in the public eye. That's why you know who he is dating and who he is breaking up with, or who is ending a relationship with him. It's because he is famous, he's a celebrity, he's in the public eye, he's dating other people that are in the public eye. So of course you're going to know. But I guarantee if I ask certain person around the way, or this person or that person, how many people have you dated? It'll probably be more than that, but nobody cares, or nobody even knows. That's what people do when they're dating and they're trying to find that significant other, or they're allowing that significant other to come to them. Trial and error. You're going to be in relationships, and just because a relationship ends doesn't mean it wasn't a good relationship. It might have been some issues or concerns within the relationship, but a lot of people in relationships still friends. It didn't work out in that space and time, but it works out for them to be friends. So we don't know why people break up in the intricacies of their relationships. The only people that know are the people that are in the relationship, right? So I don't believe he's for the streets. I believe that he's strategic. I believe that Common is looking for something. And if you've read some of his books, he's had a lot of trauma in his life, a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And a lot of people, whether you're public or private, a lot of people don't have bad relationships. They're just two people, or one of the people that haven't healed yet. So it's hard to have a healthy relationship if you have this one over here, unhealed, unchecked, unknowingly, going through something or experience something from the past that surfaces in the relationship, and then you have that one. You can't have a healthy relationship with two unhealthy people. You can't even have a relationship with one unhealthy person who is not willing to acknowledge that they have some trauma, some drama, some things going on. So when I seen him and Jennifer Hudson together, I ain't say nothing. I'm like, okay, they're from the Chi. It probably feels like home. They're both from the south side of Chicago. Being together probably feels like home. It's probably familiar. It probably is just a connection that no one from another place could understand, right? They can talk about the same things. They might have had the same experiences, upbringings. They might know some of the same people, been to the same restaurants, like the same, teams, whatever it is. So that already is different from who else he's dated in the public eye. And if you've watched the Jennifer Hudson show, you would also see that she seems like a really cool chick, a woman, right? She seems laid back. Everybody she talks to on that couch, it seems like they're sitting in her living room. There's a down home, comfortable feeling where I don't see pretentiousness with her, at least on that show. I don't know her personally. So it could be something like that, So when they appeared, it's been the teasers coming out the past weekend about Common being on her show, and clips have surfaced where they play the cute cat and mouse games, or she asked, well, they want to know, are you seeing somebody? Are you romantically involved? And he begins to say yes, and explains it in a way that he's talking about her. It was really cute. They did these videos where they were doing googly eyes and, talking about different things. And it really does seem like they said, it's a solid relationship. Both of them said they love the space that they're in with each other. They love the relationship that they're in together. And they both seem happy. And it was a sense of peace. You know how you can see somebody in a relationship and it just looks uneasy. It looks uncomfortable. It looks forced. It looks like they ain't going to last but 5 minutes more. It looks like that. When I saw them together on that show, and it's right on YouTube, right here on YouTube, they seemed as if They were very comfortable. They seemed that they were connected. They seemed at peace. And that's what, now, if you've seen it, let me know what you think. But that's what it seemed to me. So they appear to be happy. And somebody yelled in the audience, they were like, she's the one. And she was like, say that or claim that or something like that. And he just was smiling, and it could be. And if it ends up being marriage or a committed relationship forever, I'm happy for them. I'm always going to root for people who are in love. It makes me smile. When I watched that, I was cheesing the whole time like it was me. I'm just like cheesing and just, happy for them from the inside out, because it's beautiful to see. I love, just because I'm not in a relationship right now, just because I'm not in love right now, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't wish that for someone else. So I love to see people who are happy. I love to see people who are in love and experiencing love and all googly eyed and smiling and, being able to have conversations and all of that good stuff. So hopefully you like to see folks in love too. So I wanted to talk about that before I get into it. Okay. So what is a healthy relationship? As a life coach, as a healing coach, I often talk about healthy relationships, and I don't want to be in any relationship if it's anything other than a healthy relationship, because I have done the work on me and continuously do the work on me every single day. We fall down, but we get up every single day to be a better version of me. I have done the work spiritually, mentally, and physically. So if the next person that comes into my life, it has to be healthy, right? And I want that person, whoever that person is, to do the self-work on themselves, to be able to get coaching, counseling, seek therapy, seek God, be in the word, doing all the things that they need to do to be the best version of them. I don't believe in that. Oh, well, she makes me whole. He makes me whole. We come together and two halves make a whole. No, two people have to be whole in the relationship. That's just the bottom line, right? They have to be whole. You can't be having no half a person come into a thing thinking that it's going to be a healthy situation, right? All right. So what is a healthy relationship? A healthy relationship it involves honesty, trust, respect, open communication between both parties, right? The partners. And they take effort and compromise from both people. Making space for each other. You're making space for each other's emotions and making space to nurture and cultivate other aspects of each other's lives. Let me read that part again. And this is from the Cleveland Clinic, right? When it comes to mental health, when it comes to relationships and merging the two together, making space for each other. You're making space for each other's emotions and making space to nurture and cultivate other aspects of each other's lives. 12 signs you're in a healthy relationship. And again, this is from the clevelandclinic.org. Let's get into it. We're going to take a break. No, we're going to get right into it because this is going to be not too long of an episode. All right. Respect. Signs you're in a healthy relationship. Respect. RESPECT. Find out what it means to me. Isn't always about drawing a line in the sand when things go south. Boundaries are good to put into place when we know crossing them would violate our mental, emotional, and physical health or values. But they're also good for establishing a level of respect for each other and for understanding things you both feel are important. In a healthy relationship, you're making space for each other. You're making space for each other's emotions, as I talked about, and making space to nurture and cultivate other aspects of each other's lives. So it is important to be able to have healthy boundaries, also exist in an intimate or a sexual space too. No one should ever feel pressured or ashamed when interacting each other's inside each other's space. No one should feel uncomfortable when they're interacting in each other's space. I want to make sure if you're watching live, I want to make sure you can hear me. If you can hear me, say you can hear me. I just want to make sure of that. All right. So, number two is you trust one another, and that trust is earned. If you've worked through your relationship baggage, you've worked through your blind spots, hopefully you have come to a newness in your relationship, feeling more neutral and trusting someone. It's so important that you trust. That's a part of a healthy relationship. If you're in a relationship and you don't trust the person past your hand, that's not a healthy relationship. It's just not. It doesn't matter the reasons why you don't trust a person, right? It matters that you don't trust a person. So it's so important to do that. Number three, when the going gets tough, you find a way to communicate. When the going gets tough, you find a way to communicate. So if you're in a relationship, right, and the person gives you the silent treatment, whether it's the woman or the man, right? Gives you the silent treatment. Are you aware that that's a form of emotional abuse? If somebody is talking to you and you're not talking back, they're not talking back, or they're ignoring you, you keep talking to them and they act like they don't hear you. That's emotional abuse. That's not effective communication. Those are signs that it's not a healthy relationship. But when you're able to communicate when things get tough, and you're able to have these conversations and to be able to communicate clearly where both people are heard and understood, that's a healthy relationship. Number four, that you're in a healthy relationship, is you agree to disagree. In most cases, when there's conflict, you want to feel heard and understood. And you want to come out of it feeling like there's a solution in a win-win for both of you, right? So there isn't any lingering resentment from either side. But going back to trust, it all begins with trust. So if you're able to have an adult relationship and you're mature, and you're willing to agree to disagree, and you still feel good about yourself and they feel good about yourself, those are signs that you're in a healthy relationship. Number five, you can also forgive each other. If someone hasn't had a positive or a secured attachment in their childhood, I talk about this in my book, Your Unhealed is Showing. I talk about the attachment styles and how that can affect you in your life. If someone hasn't had a positive or secure attachment in their childhood, then they can end up holding grudges and find it difficult to forgive people, explains Duke. He is the researcher. But there's no such thing as a perfect relationship, and forgiveness is often a sign of love. All right. So another reason or another sign that you are in a healthy relationship, because some people out there are in very healthy, happy relationships where they love one another. They're able to work through things. They're able to laugh together and build together and have conversations, and the arguments or debates don't last for 90 days. They last, because they're able to agree to disagree and still respect one another's feelings and opinions, even if they don't fully agree. Number six, you're both committed to the relationships. Perhaps one of the most common complaints in relationships is that someone is making more effort than the other. So both people, if you're in a healthy relationship, you want to both be committed to that relationship. If you're watching live, if you can hear me, let me know. I just want to make sure that you can hear me outside of the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. All right. So you're kind to each other. That's how you know you're in a healthy relationship. If you are kind to each other. Kindness, kindness, kindness is very underrated. It's underrated. Most people don't really focus on that kindness, right? If you're in love and you're in a relationship, you should want to be kind to one another. He should want to be kind. She should want to be kind. That's part of a healthy relationship. So if all of these things so far that I said, none of them ring a bell to you or check a box, then you're not in a healthy relationship. But that's okay. That's why I'm doing this episode. That's why, I'm a life coach, because I want to see people healthy and whole, even myself, right? I want to be in a healthy relationship one day, right? So that's why I have to do the work on me. You got to do the work on you and whoever. And then you come together and you do the work that it takes in a relationship, because no one out here is perfect. Everybody has work to do on themselves. If you meet somebody and they say, I'm perfect, I ain't got no work to do, run that way, run the other way. All right. 8, you enjoy each other's companies and support each other's goals, right? You support each other's goals and you enjoy each other company. Why are you going to be in a relationship and you don't even enjoy their company? They don't enjoy your company. That can't be a healthy relationship. You're spending time with each other because you think that's what you should do, but nobody is happy, healthy, or whole and want to enjoy each other's company. But first, you got to be able to enjoy your own company, because if you can't stand to be around you and spend time with yourself, then you're not going to be happy with anybody. And nobody going to want to spend time with you if you ain't willing to spend time with yourself. You can't be always available to spend time with somebody else and you never available to spend time with you. That's a word. If you can hear me, definitely put some thumbs up in the comments if you're watching the visual part of the podcast. All right. So number 9, you're good at making decisions together. That's when you know you're in a healthy relationship. You're good at making decisions together. If you fuss and fighting all the time when it's time to make a decision and you're unable to do that, that's not healthy. And so many people are conditioned to think that they're healthy because a lot of people don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like, sounds like, hears, sounds like. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going out and buying big household items without consulting with your partner first. And you make time for your partner's input, right? But with kindness, you should view the person you're in a relationship with as your partner. And if you don't view them that way, or you don't feel that way, then that's not a healthy space. Again, so many people are in dysfunctional relationships because they've witnessed dysfunctional relationships. So they don't even know when they're not in a relationship that's solid. The last, I'll do a couple more. Don't dodge difficulty. Speaking of the ugly, because the good, bad, and the ugly, you don't want to avoid having difficult conversations in a healthy relationship. You want to confront issues head on and find ways to express your feelings, even when you know you have to talk about the challenges that might put heat and increase the pressure. You still got to talk about it. Number 11, you're comfortable in who you are and independent from your partner. That's a healthy relationship. So many people's relationships define who they are. They have no clue who they are without their partner. So a healthy relationship is you're comfortable in who you are, independent from your partner. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think, well, if my partner is there, then I'm good. But if my partner's not there, then I'm going to crumble. I don't even know how to be by myself. And that happens a lot. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I want you to be independent of your partner. There's nothing wrong, obviously, with spending time with your partner and being in love with your partner, but you have to be able to experience things outside of them. 12, you're comfortable with each other even when you're not on. Your partner, this is good. You don't always have to be perfect in front of your partner. And they're especially true in healthy relationships. Part of this goes back to being kind to one another, but in a different way. Kindness can extend to allowing you and your partner to let go of the responsibilities sometimes that exchange for personal development. You'll find that when you let your guard down with one another, the healthiest of relationships allow you a different level of intimacy and understanding. In order to enjoy a healthy relationship, we need to be prepared to be vulnerable with one another. Now, did you hear that? I'm going to read this part again. You don't always have to be perfect in front of your partner. And that's especially true in the healthiest of relationships. Now, if you feel like you can't be vulnerable, you can't be who you are, or the person is going to make fun of you or make you feel bad for being who you are, and you feel like you got to be on lights, camera, action all the time, then that's not a healthy relationship, because a healthy relationship will allow you to be exactly who you are, flawed and all. Doesn't mean that you're not progressing and growing to be better, but they're not going to make fun of you. You're crying. They're not going to call you a crybaby, or you're not going to, or they make fun of what you said, or when you're vulnerable, they're going to say, oh, well, why are you this? Or you're too sensitive and all of that. That's emotional abuse, believe it or not. I've done shows on that. But healthy is really accepting somebody for who they are. So a lot of people are guilty. I think we all are guilty of this, and not even knowing the effects that it could have. Like if you say, whatever, I can't even think of something, but if you say something and somebody is coming to you vulnerable, that's going to immediately shut them down, even if you didn't mean it. So that's why it's important to really watch your words, watch how you are. But the thing is, you got to do that for you, and you got to work on you so you can be the best version. You're not going to always get it right. You're not going to be perfect. So don't even worry about that part. Because if I'm going to be in a relationship, I don't want to come to the relationship as Kendell Lenice. I just want to come as Kendell. I don't want to come as Kendell Lenice, a life coach, where it feels like, oh, I know this, I know that. I want to be a flawed individual, and I want to be able to be vulnerable in just Kendell. Everybody, because the world is already enough, right? And people go in and have to wear these masks and have to be these people for work or for business or for kids or for whatever. When you are with your mate in a healthy relationship, you can put all of that to the side and be right. And if you can't, then that may not be, the relationship for you. It doesn't mean that person is bad or you're bad, or, whoever you see. It doesn't mean that. It means that it's just not a good fit. And everybody, men, women alike, deserve to be in a healthy relationship, right? But again, first you have to be healthy. As a healing coach, I love speaking to people. That's one of the biggest things that people talk about is relationships. I want to share something with you all. When I looked at statistics, 70% of American singles are looking for a serious relationship, right? In 2023, data found that Americans are single, and about more than half are either in a committed relationship or casual dating. And this is not just women, this is men too. Men are looking for commitment, men are looking for serious relationships. Now, if you listen to the streets, they'll say men just want this. Men want, to be intimate. They're looking for somebody to hit it and quit it, be gone. And women are looking for emotions. Women are looking for stability. Everybody is looking for the same things at the end of the day, especially when you become a mature age. And it's not the number, it's the maturity, it's the growth, it's the healing, right? Most people, you're human beings, are looking for the same type of things if they're seriously pursuing a relationship. That's what they're looking for. Somebody's looking for somebody to be kind. That's not gender it doesn't matter what gender you are. If you're looking for kindness, if you're looking for compassion, if you're looking for a person that has a relationship with God, that's not just singular when it comes to men and women. And also, I was like, well, why? As I was doing research for this show, why do so many people want to be in a relationship? Why? And you think about all the dating shows, all the reality shows, all the dating apps, right? The matchmakers, they are millionaires. There are millions of people out there looking for love. That's the hottest commodity. If you're in business and you want to get into business, get in the love business, right? It's never going to be fleeting. Everybody that's anybody is going to want love. Even Nelly got his old thing back with Ashanti, and they just googly eye. She wearing his name on the back of her shirt. He's FaceTiming her live performances. I mean, this love, everybody wants love. Let me talk about America for a moment. In the same research, romance in America, most young, I'll say this, these are it has all of these statistics. Well, we're not going to talk about that, why people break up. We're going to save that. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Hey y'all, it's playing through my headphones so you can't hear it. But if you listen to the audio version of my podcast, the original version, you'll hear it. All right, we are back. We are back. Welcome back to Shine with Kendell Lenice. If you're just tuning in live or you're listening to the playback, we are talking about relationships, right? Healthy relationships, public, private, or otherwise, right? And I titled it that because I did talk about Jennifer Hudson and Common, where they're public figures, but they still want to keep their relationship private. And they talked about that on the Jennifer Hudson show. And everybody's like, well, why not share it to the world? Because we're in a society where everything is shared and nothing is sacred. Everything is on Front Street, and you don't keep a piece to yourself. And sometimes that might be why some relationships do not work. And I get it. When you're in love, you want to yell it to the mountaintops. You want to tell everybody you're in love. You want to be like Coming to America, to be loved, to be loved. Oh, what a feeling to be loved. You want to tell everybody. But sometimes you have to save a piece. So I love the fact that they talked about their love, and they talked about their privacy, but they still, shared some. They're not going to share a whole lot. But even if your relationship is public, even if it's private, if you're listening and nobody even knows who you are and you're in a relationship, there's that private or otherwise. It's up for you to decide. And I see a lot of times, I've had clients where, we know, who they are. And one person wants to post everything about the person. And then the other person is like, no. And not because most people be like, oh, they hiding from something or they don't want to. No, but some people are not Front Street people, right? And then you have some people online getting paid to be able to share certain things. So it's that catch-22. Or just like the jinx, they say, when a couple goes on reality shows, on a reality show, then it's pretty much over for their relationship. And we've seen it happen before, but we look at shows like Married to Medicine. They've worked through a lot of marital problems, and they have been in 10 seasons. And a lot of them are still, most of them are still married. So it can work, right? And as we wind down, I want to talk about, why do relationships fail? Common reasons: communication issues, finances, compatibility are three of the biggest ones. Also, some people want different things. Some people are at different spaces and places in their lives, and it just doesn't work. Have you ever seen a couple at a restaurant and both of them are on their phones and they're looking down, they're not connecting, they're not talking, they lost communication? When you have communication issues and you can't even sit and have a meal without both people looking down or being on their phone or looking like they don't want to be there, that's a conversation. But a lot of people won't have that conversation. Like Gladys Knight's song, neither one of us want to be the first to say goodbye. So instead of being single and being by yourself, most people are like, I've heard a woman say it's better to have a piece of man than no man at all. No, we got to change that. No, it's not better. It's better to be in a healthy relationship or be by yourself and grow and learn and get healthy on your own and get strong than when you enter a relationship, right? Then it may be healthy according to what you put in it and what you put into yourself. So a lot of people don't want to even work on themselves or to be by themselves. So one person will go from one relationship to the next relationship. He'd be like, y'all just broke up a week ago and you got a new one already? You got a new boo and you just broke up a week ago? You know, you got to give yourself time to heal. You got to give yourself time to do work on yourself and to evaluate and to see where, you know, things went wrong, things went right, what you would do more of, what you would do less of. That's spending time with yourself before you get into a relationship. Some people don't like to be alone. They in a relationship, like it's even when I was reading Will Smith's book, he said he was never single. From the time he was in high school, he would go from one relationship to the next relationship, and he never wanted to be without a relationship, right? And there are a lot of, he's a man, there's a lot of women like that, a lot of people like that in general. Why relationships don't last: loss of trust, as I was saying, poor communication, lack of respect, or the differences in priority, or little to no intimacy, right? That's why some of them fail. But let's talk about, because I don't want to just, we talked about healthy relationships, we talked about unhealthy relationships, we talked about why they don't last, why people want relationships. Let's talk about the best part of some relationships, right? So this season on Shine with Kendell Lenice, we're going to talk about relationships in all kinds of ways. We're going to hear people's stories. We're going to hear people's journeys, what relationships have taught them, because each relationship you're in, once you're out of it or within the relationship, you have to be able to learn something and take something away, whether it's about you, whether it's about another person, whether it's about the two people, whether it's just about relationships in general. You have to be able to learn. I'm a big advocate on, okay, what did it teach you? You might be like, oh, as bad as this to this, but what did it teach you? And if it taught you something, then it's not 100% bad, because if it helped you grow, it's not 100% bad. Right? You got to check yourself. You got to be able to see, because the only one you're responsible for is you. You're responsible for your healing. You're responsible for your growth. You're responsible for your apologies. You're responsible for loving yourself first, because you can't be all googly-eyed and booed up and loving somebody more than you love yourself, or you're saying you love someone else, but you don't even know how to love yourself or respect yourself. So that's number one. But what's the best part of relationships? Ultimately, the best part of being in a relationship is finding true happiness with someone you love. A loving, supportive partner can bring immense joy and fulfillment to your life. And when both partners are committed to growth, support, and shared experiences, the sky is the limit. Now, when I'm reading our on health websites, mental health, because a lot of people struggle with relationships, and you don't understand that being in a healthy relationship is good for your health, right? Two are better than one as long as it's healthy, right? Love and affection, going on adventures, exploring together, learning from each other. I love that. learning from each other and about each other, surprises, emotional support, trying new things together. And even says taking each other's food. Who are the people that some people cannot stand that? If you go in their plate, they cannot stand it. Or you might be the person like, I'll buy you your own, don't go in my plate, right? But just the little things, in relationships that people love. That's why people circling the block. That's why people trying to get their old thing back because they might have messed up, or like we talked about I was saying Shelly. That could be Shanti and Ashanti and Nelly. And think about it. They were together when they were 20 something, and now they're 40 something, and Nelly's about to be 50. And some are like, well, now that he did everything, now he wants her back. No, with age sometimes comes maturity, and he might be seeing that was the love of his life, and he is going to do things differently if he had the opportunity to. They both head over heels now. So I love to see it, whether they're faces that we know or not know. I have friends, my friend, shout out to Basine and Joe. They have been married close to 30 years, 20 something years, and she still talks about that man like they just met today. And love. She loves her husband, right? Like they just met. So it doesn't, I don't have to see love reflected. You don't have to see love reflected for people, celebrities, right? You can see it in your own family. You can see it in your own life. And shout out to everyone watching and listening that are in healthy relationships. And you like your partner, right? Like is so underrated, because if it came to, I would want my partner to love me, right? I would want him to love me, but I would also want him to like me. What y'all think? People always say love, but like is great, right? Because like is a choice. Love, you might feel obligated at times, right? But when you like somebody, you like, I can't even be mad because I like you. You my best friend. I want my best friend back. Let's just end this. Let's just end the argument. Let's just end because I want my best friend, because I got to tell you something, right? That's the kind of joy that relationships can bring. So this is what's going to be going down on Shine with Kendell Lenice. This is just the first premiere episode. So I was giving y'all a lot, for the first episode. And I love talking to people about relationships, right? Because sometimes you are your best self in relationships. Sometimes you are not. Sometimes you are the happiest. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes it has to do with you, again, in your healed spaces or unhealed spaces, right? Your self-awareness, your self-acknowledgement, your willingness to be better, right? Because if you're better for yourself, whoever you're involved with, you're better with them if they are doing the same work, right? If they're not doing work and you're not doing work, then that relationship is going to be a mess. So we want to have healthy relationships in 2024. Yes. We want to add that to the prayer list. We want to add that to the vision boards. We want to add that to manifestation. But you have to be able to get right yourself and be right so you can be the best version of you, not for a partner, but for you. And that waterfall will trickle on to the relationship. But ultimately, the relationship starts with God, and it starts with you. And all of you people out there who think they're not worthy of love, or they just mess up relationships, or they don't know how to do relationships, or they never even had a relationship, I'm telling you, we're going to speak it. You will have the relationship that you desire, right? You have to be the person you want to see. You can't expect these things in a relationship and not be those things within yourself, right? So the people that want a relationship or desire a relationship, like I went to a women's conference, Be Brave, Brave Williams event a lady stood up. She was like, I want a husband. I want to be married. And then someone stood up, the speaker, Michelle, she said, well, I did with my husband. Let me tell you how you can get a husband. And the other women were like, I want a husband too. And it was cool. But I love that because they were speaking what they want, right? So speak what you want, but make sure you speak it over yourself and make sure it's a healthy situation. And I don't want you all to lose hope. All relationships are not bad. I know if you've had a bad 1, 2, 3, 4, and every relationship you had, maybe somebody cheated on you or somebody lied to you or they weren't good to you, you feel like all women are this way, all men are this way, all relationships are this way. No, because you have to treat people as an individual, just like you want them to treat you as an individual, right? If you've grown, somebody else could have grown. If you've gone to therapy, someone else could have gone to therapy. If you have done the self-work, someone else has, right? So use your discernment, use your wisdom, but give grace to people if you want grace in return. But be strategic, know exactly what you want, and knowing exactly what you want takes you knowing yourself. I have asked women and men, tell me what you want in a relationship. They like, well, I can't tell you all that, but I can tell you what I don't want. I don't want another copycat of this person or that person. And then they get real hype. But people don't know what they want. So I want you to sit down and really think about, if you want a relationship, what do you want? Then I want you to say, well, what will you bring to this relationship? And if you're in a relationship, I want you to think about how you can elevate your relationship. Even if your relationship is good right now, it could always be better. How can it be better? What can I do? David Mann and Tamela Mann said they try to outlove each other. Like, you ain't going to love me more than I love you. You ain't going to be surprised and get this gift more than I get. And I love that, trying to out love somebody. That's beautiful. All right. We went, well, most of the episodes, if you're just tuning in for the first time to Shine with Kendell Lenice, season 11, normally I'll do 45 minutes. I don't do a full hour sometimes because, some people's attention spans, I want you to get it. But the beautiful thing about podcasts, you can listen to a part in the car. Then when you get out and go to the gym, then if you want to save the other piece for another moment, you can do that. It can be broken up that way. I just want you to get the information. And if you're in a relationship, you want to learn more about relationships from your favorite life coach, definitely listen to this season. If you're just tuning in for the first time, go back to listen to some other episodes of Shine with Kendell Lenice. If you're able to comment, please do so. If you're able to subscribe, please do so. Again, you guys wanted season 11 to be all about relationships. So we're going to do this thing right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Shine with Kendell Lenice. We got to start at, well, you won't hear it on there, but takeaways from today's show. All right, this week's gems, takeaways from today's show. The biggest takeaway from today's show is you can't expect something from somebody else that you're not willing to give yourself, right? If you want somebody to love you, you got to first love yourself. If you want somebody to give you everything you need and want, you got to be able to give yourself that. If you want somebody to treat you like a queen or a king, then you got to treat yourself like a king or a queen. That's takeaways from today's show. Everybody, thank you so much for listening and watching. Woo, woo, woo. Remember, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless, peace. Let's shine together, y'all. Hey y'all, if I tell y'all how long I've been up and how much sleep I had, y'all be like, how you standing? How are you standing? How are you moving? But I thank y'all for tuning in. It's going to be really good this season. We're going to be talking about relationships in a different way, because everybody talking about relationships, and I don't want to talk about them the same way, as everyone, but that's one of the biggest trending topics all over the place is relationships, because everybody wants one, everybody trying to get out of one, or everybody is trying to find one, or so relationships are a big topic, and there's so much foolishness going on about high value this and this, that, and this. When people connect and people have done the work, relationships can work, they can last, right? But if people are not willing to do the work on themselves or others, then it's not going to last. But I love to see y'all in love. So keep loving on one another. Most importantly, love on yourself and love on God, y'all. God bless y'all. And if you don't subscribe, please do so. Thank you. And if you're not listening to the audio podcast, what you waiting for? Go to Google Play, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast. Y'all subscribe to the podcast. Did I say Spotify? Podcast Addict. I don't even listen to that, but it's on there. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure y'all listen.